Everything you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes only. Listen, have some fun, but don't ever do, believe, or promote anything they say. They're idiots.
Guys, hold up. You should know, this ain't for everybody. Welcome to Savagely Loud. What's happening, people? Guys, welcome back to the show that understands that facts divided by feelings equals failure. I'm Cliff, I'm your host, and today I want to talk about this whole notion that if you build a fucking machine with teeth, it's eventually going to bite your ass back. But before we get to that, if you want to help me out, help me get this word out, help me get this truth out, you can follow me on Instagram at Savagely Loud. That is where I'm most active, is Savagely Loud on Instagram. On that page, you will find two links. One of those links is to the Savagely Loud podcast page on Instagram. You could please follow me there because that will inevitably be my backup page once they fully ban me on Savagely Loud for speaking too much truth. And the other link you will find is a link tree to all my media sites. So wherever you get your podcasts, your videos, or whatever, you can find them very easily in that link tree. You can check that out. Outside of that, you can follow me on Facebook, X, and Rumble at Savagely Loud. You can follow me on YouTube, and please do, at Savagely Loud Podcast. Last but not least, you can also email me in savagelyloud@gmail.com. And guys, please do not forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that good shit. Let's get this word out. Let's get the truth into the algorithm so we can start waking more people up. Before we get to today's topic, well, we have some very visual updates to go through. I'm pointing and waving at the fucking background behind me. So when the show started, it was going to be one thing, and it has progressed in that direction. However, there has had to be so many changes take place that it kind of soured me on some things. So if you'll remember, when I first started the show, there was a painted mural going up. I was doing a bunch of brickwork with paint and all this other, and it was going to be really fucking cool. But basically, everything about the show in the background, in the shadows, has had to be adjusted, had to change. So I kind of lost drive on that end, and I decided to go a different route just to really wash away the entire past of this, the very early past of this fucking show. Everything behind the scenes has changed in this show, so I changed my background. Now, you'll see there's a load of clutter going up on the wall behind me. This is shit that I'm into. Like that mask over there, I painted that. That was a Halloween mask I bought from Hobby Lobby or some shit, or Spirit Halloween, and I decided to paint it and make it look cool. The other mask on the other wall is just a really cool fucking American mask that I thought was really fucking awesome. On the that side, on that side, you'll see a couple of plaques from sponsors. I sponsored a car show before. I sponsored a young snowmobile rider. And then there's a cow with headphones because I'm as ugly as a fucking cow. Actually, that cow's got a lot more hair than I do. And he's probably cooler looking than I am, but he's cute. I'm not, but I still feel like a cow in headphones. You will see right above my head, boom, right there. You'll see an arrow that looks like it's stuck in another arrow. That is one of my shots. That's a Robin Hood. For anybody that doesn't know, we call them Robin Hoods. It's when you're shooting archery and you just so happen to stick one arrow through the ass end of another arrow. I did that. And just so happened to keep that one. I've done it several times, but I happen to keep that one because it's one of the oldest ones. I did that when I was super young, so I'm super proud of that one. And I was meaning to do it. It wasn't an accident. I was meaning to do that one, which is why I kept it for so long. You'll see some crutches. You'll see some crutches behind me, and you'll also see, which side is it? Oh, God, I'm knocking the fucking things all over there. You're going to see a cut. That's my cut. For anybody that doesn't know, that's a motorcycle vest. They were lovingly called cuts back in the 40s and 50s because people used to bikers used to wear motorcycle jackets, but they would cut the sleeves off them because it was too hot to ride in that shit. So they would just cut the sleeves off, and then it became called a cut. You can call it a vest, a biker vest, whatever you'd like. But that was mine, and that has everything to do with those crutches. You see, One day we went out and did a really, really, really big charity ride. There was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people at this ride, and we put on hundreds of miles. And I was on my way home one day, and a fucking asshole, piece of shit, good for nothing, drain on society, decided not to see me. And so I slid through the front of her piece of shit Impala at about 50 miles an hour. I ditched the bike because everybody knows in that kind of impact, the way it worked, I'll just explain it. The way it worked is I was heading one way, she was heading the opposite direction. She went to turn and turned over. It turned in front of me, and it was too fucking late. And so I was like, well, fuck, I gotta dip over here. And the goal was to get between her and her lanes of traffic and go around her and get back into my lanes of traffic. Well, at the last second, she decided to pull her head out of her ass and cut back. And that meant I had to ditch the bike, because anybody knows in that kind of collision, it's usually the bike that kills you. So I fucking ditched the bike and slid through the front of her fucking Impala. I spun my right foot around to about 5:30, 6 o'clock. It was almost all the way backwards. Now, and I've got 16 stainless screws, or 16 titanium screws and 3 titanium plates that reconstructed my right ankle. But there's still blood on my cut over there. I don't know what side to point. There's still blood on it, and that has everything to do with the crutches, because I used those crutches to get me through the aftermath, which was excruciating. But yes, the wall is not done. Over here, over there, wherever, with the green, yeah, there. You'll see another painting. You'll see more of this stuff go up as time goes on. It's not finished. I just started working on it this weekend. But we got a fucking show to do, so we got to get to the show. Beyond that, are there any other updates? You know what? I'll be honest with you. I had something that we needed to talk about, and it's just looking at all the fucking memories on my wall. This just kind of stole that update from me. If I remember it, we'll get to it. So let's just get into the meat, guys. Let's dive into this and start biting on this shit. The whole idea of this episode is to really break apart what we're seeing now in society. We're seeing society fall apart based on ideologies. We're seeing society fall apart based on, really, if you bring it all the way back, based on systems that were created to take people down that are now eating the people that created them. That's why I said, if you build a machine with teeth, it will eventually bite your ass back. And we see this happening across the globe. We see this happening in every fucking industry, every aspect and facet of human life, the government, corporations. We see this happening everywhere. So right now, I think what we should do is, since we're living in a corporatocracy here, we're essentially living in a world of corporate fascism, where the corporations actually run the world. We're just not answering to them directly. The problem with corporations is they are really, really famous for creating these systems that are meant to police the people that work for them so greatly that it actually fucks them later on. You see, companies and corporations, large ones, they'll have these groups of people that they sit and they think of. Their whole job is to think of new ways to protect the company from somebody getting angry, right? Oh, somebody didn't use the right pronoun. Oh my God. Well, now we have a rule that you have to respect people's pronoun. Oh, somebody used the wrong bathroom. Somebody used the wrong parking spot. Somebody didn't wipe off the toilet seat. Somebody left the drinking fountain on. So we have to have rules for all of this stuff now. Well, once they get enough rules in these corporations that the company starts running relatively smoothly, well, they'll be out of a job if they don't start coming up with new shit that needs to be implemented. So what do? These little corporate think tanks inside the corporation that are tasked with basically policing everybody, they do just that. They go from ways to make the company operate more streamlined, efficient, and effectively. They start changing that to, how can we police our employees? And this is where it really starts getting out of hand, because it moves outside of the corporation. It moves into people's personal lives. It moves into people's homes and apartments. It moves into people's cars, and it moves into people's social medias. So now you've got these corporations that are basically telling everybody that works for them, you are not allowed to have your opinions. You are not allowed to voice your opinions. You are not allowed to act on your opinions. If you are going to remain employed by this corporation, you will act in and out of the building as we demand you act. And a very, very, very close to home example of this is my old co-host. When I started this show not too long ago, I had a co-host, and many of you may remember, Mikey. Well, here's the facts on Mikey. Mikey left the show because his job pulled him into the office. This is all alleged. I don't know if it's fact or not, but it wouldn't surprise me to find out he was completely fucking lying. But it sounded legit at the time, so we're going to just roll with it. He started the show with me, and not too long in, his corporation, the people that work for him and figure out ways to police their fucking personnel, they pulled him into the office and they said, well, we found your show on the internet, and well, you didn't necessarily say anything wrong, but it doesn't reflect kindly, and we feel that you really have a future here, and if you'd like to protect that future, you may want to rethink some things. And what all that meant was, you will not do that fucking show and expect to be employed here, because we don't like that look on us. Even though it's your personal life, even though you have every single fucking freedom to do the show and talk the way you want and speak about the topics you want to speak about, you have all these legal rights. We're going to illegally force you to not do that through coercion tactics. So what they did is not basically, and they factually threatened his mission. This is as I was told. So if this is all false for the company that he works for, you can go ahead and call me, email me in savagelylloud@gmail.com. Explain to me the situation right before I tell you to go fuck yourself again anyway, because you're a shitty corporation and you've done this to many other fucking people. Yes, I know all about you. I've got a show coming up on your corporation someday. Watch me. But they did this. They forced him to not do the show through coercion tactics. They threatened his livelihood so that he would capitulate to what they wanted him to do outside of the purview of what they were controlling, outside of what they had been tasked with making better. The only fucking part of Mikey's life that his corporation has any fucking thing to do with is the fucking hours between when he punches in and when he punches out. But as with all other corporations that we're seeing, they fucked him out of doing something that he really liked. They fucked him out of being the voice of reason and truth. They fucked him into silence because they are a fucking fascist corporatocracy corporation, and they're one of the ones leading the charge with this. Now, that being said, it goes deeper than that. When it comes to the corporations, it's not even so much that they force you into not speaking your mind outside of work. A lot of it fucks themselves as the corporation, because all of these policing tactics that we just fucking talked about that affected Mikey, of course, all of these policing tactics and all these coercion tactics and all these systems and all these machines with all these teeth that these corporations make to police its employees actually ends up fucking them later, because they start reducing their own level of innovation. We see this, it's statistical fact. We see it every single day. Companies hitting lower and lower and lower on the projected income based on their innovation levels, dropping and dropping and dropping. And the reason we see innovation levels dropping so consistently and so fucking exponentially is because they've policed their employees to the point where nobody will speak out. And if you know anything about innovation, you know that the innovation comes from the fucking people that initially are called crazy. Initially, the people that speak out. Initially, the people that go against the grain. This is where innovation comes from. This is where invention comes from. This is where perfecting what is existing now comes from. But these corporations police these people so heavily that they no longer want to threaten their position. So everybody then becomes, instead of the doer, They become the person that goes in, sits in the shadows, avoids all contact, does exactly what the fuck they have to do to get a fucking paycheck, and don't put an ounce or iota of effort into it. Not even a little bit. And it's all the corporation's fault for silencing their employees, making their employees feel like they work and therefore live in a prison based on the war. And then the warden is the company. So we see the innovation of all these corporations dwindle and dwindle and dwindle and dwindle and dwindle. And what happens then? The corporation itself, it starts fading from the limelight. Well, anybody that knows corporations knows if you really want the big money, you got to spend some time in the light. So what do corporations do then? They police harder. They go even further into the fucking no-go zone. They get even crazier with their dumbass shit. And eventually, it just eats the corporation. We've seen buyout after buyout after buyout after buyout based on this corporate structure, based on the corporate structure of policing your employees into feeling like they're in a mental prison that they can't operate in, that is they do so poorly, your company fails. And we're supposed to feel bad about this. We're supposed to feel bad about company after company after company folding up based on their own decisions, based on their own willingness to police their own employees in and out of the fucking work site to the fucking point where they're miserable and they don't even feel like they're living. They don't want to help. They don't want to help themselves. They don't want to help the company. They damn sure don't want to help other people because the corporation beats the fuck out of them and stuffs them in a box that they shouldn't be in. Nobody should be stuffed into a box unless they stuff themselves into a box, but corporations do it every fucking day. And that is why we're seeing not only the fall of the big corporations, but we're also seeing the rise of the mom and pop shops again. We're seeing the rise of small businesses, which is amazing. And when we go into those small businesses, we hear shit like fag. We hear shit like that's retarded. We hear shit like fuck that bitch, because it's just human vernacular. We're associating as normal humans the way we'd all grown up, and life's just happier that way. That's why most people are happier when they work for a mom and pop shop. They are happier when they work for a private business. When people go into giant corporations, yes, typically they have access and opportunity to make a lot more money, but they remove literally 100% of their fucking happiness because they know in order to earn that bigger money, you got to be on camera all fucking day. Here's one for you involving me. I got offered a job I got offered an interview to drive a garbage truck years ago. And I talked to the fucking guy that was telling me to go in and talk to him. And I asked him about it, and he had mentioned that there was cameras on the truck. And I was like, oh, that's okay. In case of an accident or anything. He's like, no, we monitor speech and everything. Like, we see what's happening in the truck. We listen to you. There's not an inch of the truck that's not under camera surveillance. And I was like, you go fuck yourself, dude. Right then and there, you can go fuck yourself. I am absolutely fucking not interested. He's like, dude, we're talking about $100,000 a year. And at the time I was making 38 grand a year. So it was an exponentially large fucking raise in income, but I'm not interested. I am not interested in being somebody's fucking slave. I am not interested in being somebody's muse. I worked for a shop that's very local here. It's a mom and pop shop, and it's owned by a husband and wife, and they love their cameras. In fact, the wife sits in the office all the fucking time, and she did nothing but watch the fucking cameras. You might think she'd be calling, getting more business in to, feed the shop money when the people he's got working for him got nothing to do. But no, she was sitting there watching the cameras, making sure what we were doing. And then when he wasn't busy in the shop micromanaging the ever-loving fuck out of everybody, he was sitting up there with her watching the fucking cameras. I have zero fucking tolerance for camera watchers. I will not work for camera watchers. You'll barely get me to even associate, even speak with camera watchers because of the content of their character. They are not the kind of people people that are fucking are my kind of people. We just don't get along because you're a nosy bitch with nothing better to do than watch what other people are doing who make your money for you, rather than helping them make even more money by spending your time getting business into the shop or the facility or whatever you work at. No, you're spending all your fucking time manipulating how these people are supposed to feel about their position there. I don't fucking dig it at all. I don't play that bullshit. So whenever I apply for a job or a position anywhere, I ask them their camera policy. We get into it, and if they have camera watchers, I tell them to go fucking suck a dick, and I walk the fuck out of that place. Now, it's not just corporations that is doing this creation of machines that eat the opposition and police its own. We see it everywhere. One of the big places, yes, you know where I'm going with this, don't you? We've got the left wing, we've got the right wing, and we've got the bird. Both of those wings are part of the same fucking bird. And first and foremost, that's where everybody fucks this up. I'm a Republican. I'm a Democrat. You're both fucking idiots because you're both fighting for the same fucking team under different pretenses. That's all that's different. Everybody wants the same shit. They just want it for different reasons. So feeling like you're holier than thou, feeling like you ride some fucking white horse into fucking battle because you work for, I guess I could say work for, but because you're enslaved by a certain party or another, that's not a sign of righteousness. It's a sign of stupidity. Because here's the thing: both of those fucking parties create these systems that have teeth and can eat the other side. I got this fucking cramp in my arm. It's driving me fucking nuts, and I don't even know why. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to work this out. This is really driving me fucking crazy. I got like Charlie horse on my fucking inside of my elbow and my forearm. But the government, especially the left, now the right, we'll get into it, but especially the left on a societal level, that's what we're seeing now, and that's what we should break down. So every single day since Charlie Kirk got murdered, what do you see on the internet besides all of the Charlie Kirk stuff? Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. You were an amazing human being. Nothing about what you were doing should have ever landed you where you are now. I'm super sorry to you and your family. My condolences, all that good shit. But ever since he got viciously murdered by the left, or the other across the way, ever since he was viciously murdered, what are we seeing? The day of and the day after, we saw the left celebrating just all over the fucking place, live in person at candlelight vigils. We saw fucking millions of people on the fucking internet celebrating the death of a human being. I don't even give a fuck if you agree with them. You're celebrating the death of a human being. What kind of monster do you have to be to celebrate the death of a human being that never actually hurt anybody, never actually called for violence against anybody? How vicious, how evil, how despicable, disgusting, and spineless do you actually have to be? Well, we're seeing it. And it's usually got purple hair. It's got a fucking pig ring hanging out of its fucking nose, which let's touch on that. The septum piercing. Can we be fucking over this shit? Can we please be over the fucking septum piercing now? You guys look like fucking cows that are just waiting to get led around on a fucking leash. Like, you guys look fucking retarded. Stop with the fucking nose piercing, with the septum piercing, especially with the door knockers. Like, that's something like it's neat to look at. Yeah, have you ever kissed somebody with a fucking door? It's ridiculous. Get rid of that shit. It's fucking stupid. Be a normal human fucking being. But we're seeing now, we saw all these people celebrate the ever-loving fuck out of it. But here's the twist. What are we seeing now? Every single day you fire up the internet, I promise you, you are seeing more and more and more and more people on the left screaming hopelessly on the internet about how they got fired because they used their right to free speech. Now, before we go further, I want to make it very known that I, under no circumstances, believe that a person should be fired from their job. I do not believe that a person should lose their way to make a living and support themselves and their family for exercising their right to free speech. I don't remember the Constitution having a list of consequences for enacting the rights that it gave you. But we see it every day, consequences, because we hear it on both sides, right? Freedom of speech doesn't equal freedom of consequence. Why is there a consequence for enacting your freedom, your God-given right as an American citizen? Why is there a consequence for enacting a freedom? If you can't handle somebody that's fucking saying some shit you disagree with, you need to look in the mirror and have a talk with that motherfucker. If you can't handle being opposed by somebody without wanting to fucking shoot them or believe that somebody else should shoot them, believe that they should lose their life because they disagreed with you, you have some serious mental fucking issues. And I am talking to everybody on both sides because I see just as much of this shit out of the right as I do the left and vice versa. But that being said, I will tell you, I am laughing my motherfucking dick off. Every single fucking day, I see these fucking rat shit, do nothing burdens to society on the left, whining and crying and screaming about how I lost my job at the post office, I lost my job at the federal building, I lost my job at the school, I lost my job at Microsoft, I lost my job at Google. I am laughing my fucking dick off at every one of these motherfuckers. And yes, I am hoping the worst for these people. And here's why. I didn't do this to them, okay? I didn't fucking report a single person. I didn't call a single fucking employer and say, hey, so-and-so's got some really fucked up things on their internet about how they're mocking Charlie Kirk, blah. I didn't do any of that. What happened was they did it to themselves. And it all started 20 fucking years ago. Remember when cancel culture started? Remember when if you said anything that went against black people, you said anything that went against immigration, you said anything that went against fucking Jews, you said anything that went against the indoctrination system of our schools, you said anything that had anything to do with disagreeing with anybody on the left, what did they do? They created the machine that allowed for you to lose everything. It's called cancel culture, and they started it. The left did. What they would do if you disagreed with them is they would fucking inundate your place of business with phone call after phone call after phone call, with complaint after complaint after complaint, and they would just absolutely harass your business until your business fired you. Until your company got rid of you. They would absolutely harass your friends until your friends would stop talking to you. They would harass your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend until they broke up with you. They would harass you until you killed yourself, literally offed yourself. They would harass you. They would fucking call out to the community and have other people harass you to the point, and they would dox you. They would give your address out. They would give your cell phone number out. They would give all your social media information out. They would send out pictures of your children. This is all shit the left did to shut the motherfuckers up on the right that disagreed with them. And now what are we seeing? We're seeing that machine that had really big fucking teeth that the left created. We're seeing it eat the left, and it is chowing you motherfuckers down so fucking fast at such a fucking astronomical rate. We all can't help but be breathless. We can't believe, none of us can believe how fast the machine that the left created is eating the left. But this goes for all machines and all sides. When the right creates a machine, I guarantee you, it will eat the right as well later on. I just did a video on my social media about this, about how when you create a machine in treachery, rooted in evil, that is built solely for the purpose of taking other people down, that motherfucker will lose its discriminatory factor and start eating you at some point. It will lose its ability to discern friend from foe, and it will start consuming everyone. And you are part of the group of everyone. But when we talk about this shit, we get such opposition. We get such heavy pushback. We get such fucking brainless looks, right? Like when you try to have a real conversation with a leftist, they just look at you like they don't know what you're fucking saying. They have no idea what you're saying because the leftists don't know what it's like to be an American. I get this shit all the time. In fact, again, I just did a video on it. I get fucking people, leftists specifically, and a lot of people on the right, but they say, you don't believe in shit. They watch my social media, they watch my content, and they say, you don't believe in shit. You're a two-faced piece of shit. You're a fucking spineless coward. You just fucking rattle off to audiences. Whoever will fucking listen to you is who you call your audience. You're full of shit. You don't believe nothing. And I ask them why. Why the fuck do you say this? And it always comes back down to this. Well, you liked so-and-so's post. And that post goes against what you say you believe. So why the fuck would you like that? That means you like that. You don't believe what you say you believe. No. What's happening is me being an American, and it's unfolding in front of your eyes. And the reason that you don't know how to process this is because you've become so anti-American, you don't even know what being an American looks like anymore. Being an American looks a lot like having friends with different opinions. Although you would believe that being an American believes you only have friends with the same opinions. If you have friends with differing opinions, they are now enemies deserving of death. Whereas I believe if I have friends that have different opinions, I have now an opportunity to learn something. And if we have this conversation and I don't learn anything, I at least know that I tried. I at least know that I opened my mind long enough to accept a different viewpoint, process that viewpoint, decipher whether it's good or not, and then implement it or not into my own life. I can at least say that I was open-minded enough to fucking have the conversation. But that's where the left falls off. The left can't have conversation because everything the left believes is so rooted in utter dumbassery that they can't even see that it's turned all their eyes brown. They can't see that they're so fucking full of shit that everybody around them looks at them as a 6-foot stack of dog shit. They just can't. I get this shit all the fucking time. So when you've got one team of fucking people being the left saying everybody has to be lockstep, if you disagree with anything I agree with, you are now the fucking enemy. And then we have the other side of the fucking people saying, dude, differences shouldn't make us enemies. Differences should give us learning opportunities to make all of society better. When you have those two camps fighting each other, nothing positive is bound to come from it. And because what's going to happen is eventually whatever side, let's say the left started it, then after a while, the right is going to do the same thing. The right is going to fucking formulate a machine, a plan that can eat the left. But what's going to happen? It's going to fucking eat the right too. And sometimes what's great is the best thing is when the left does something that ends up benefiting the right, or the right ends up doing something that benefits the left later on. And I've got a couple of examples here. So when it comes to that kind of stuff, I would have you look at, hold on one second, let me get my notes. Let's talk about the U.S. nuclear option in the Senate. In 2013, Senate Democrats, led by Harry Reid, changed the rules to allow most presidential appointments to be confirmed with a simple majority vote, rather than the full 60-vote minimum that was required before that. The backfire came in 2017. The backfire came because Senate Republicans extended that same rule to the Supreme Court nominations, and that paved the way for President Trump to appoint 3 justices with a simple majority. Democrats lost the ability to filibuster major lifetime appointments. This is an example of the left rooting their plan, their objectives in evil and treachery and deceit, and then it eventually fucked them in the ass. That's a perfect example of that. We've got another one. Let's flip the fucking script here. Let's talk about what the right's done. So we all remember the Patriot Act, right? The Patriot Act and surveillance expansion. After 9/11, the Patriot Act was pushed by Republicans to vastly expand government surveillance and counterterrorism powers. What this means is what the government did is, it was under Bush, I believe, and what he did is he said, we need to be able to surveil everybody, every single person so that we can track terrorist movements. It's the same MO every single fucking time. It starts as we're here to use this to save you, and it ends in this is the fucking way it is all the time, and if you don't like it, suck a dick. And on that note, very quick interjection, there's a town in northern Illinois called Gurnee, Illinois, and I was just reading a thing about how they now have drones, response drones for emergencies, and they're going to live on a couple of fire trucks or ambulances. My first question is, what the fuck is a drone supposed to do in an emergency, in a collision? What the fuck is a drone supposed to do? They don't have a payload, these ones. They don't have guns on them. They can't take out perpetrators. What are they going to do? They're going to they're just cameras, right? Well, they're selling that idea to the people at Gurnee by saying, well, it'll help our response times. It'll help us really get through these crises and these catastrophes and these emergencies faster if we just have the drone. But don't worry. They're only going to be deployed when we need them. What does that sound a lot like? That sounds a lot like pretty soon, a couple of years from now, Gurnee's going to put fucking drones in there all the time because they need to save us. They need to protect us from ourselves and the other bad people out here. So they just need to have drones surveilling us at all fucking times. All right? It's very, very similar to this. But where's the backfire for the Patriot Act? The backfire, years later, many conservatives saw those same powers as a threat when used by subsequent administrations, leading to internal GOP opposition and libertarian backlash. Democrats also began using some of the expanded authorities in ways Republicans had not anticipated. So here now we have an example of a fucking mechanism that the right built to benefit the right and hurt the left that ended up hurting the right. And every single fucking citizen in this country. So we're back to the same bird. You want to be on that wing or you want to be on that wing, it doesn't matter. You're still attached to the same fucking bird fighting for the same bullshit for different fucking reasons. Okay? Other things other times we've seen this. The Weimar Republic, okay? I don't know if you know about Germany in right after World War II. The Weimar Constitution allowed the president to rule by emergency decree under Article 48, a tool created to stabilize the republic and suppress extremists. Where did the backfire come in? The backfire came in when Adolf Hitler used the same provision once he came to power to destroy democratic institutions and consolidate Nazi rule. Okay? There was a whole lot of shit there that happened, and the Weimar Republic it's not something we want to get into. That's its own fucking episode. But more examples of this shit. Gerrymandering, because that's coming up right now. That is in the news as we speak right now. Gerrymandering is a big fucking thing. Texas has done it or doing it. California's doing it. The California Democrats are doing it now. And the idea of gerrymandering, for anybody that doesn't know what gerrymandering is it's supposed to be an illegal fucking thing, but it's what the politicians do to redraw the district lines around population centers to secure larger voting bases. So if, let's just say for easy, very, very easy things, in Illinois, you've got Chicago and you've got Evanston, okay? Chicago is a fucking large city. It's 3.5 million plus people. Evanston is significantly smaller than that. Well, if Evanston disagrees with Chicago on a political level, they might do what they call gerrymandering. And what they'll do is they'll start redrawing district lines, and then Evanston, who maybe didn't have Naperville, now I'm not getting into real topographical maps here, real geographical maps. We're just using city names that people know. So if Evanston did not encompass Naperville, but if they did if they did encompass Naperville now, they would get a vote that would beat out the officials in Chicago. What they'll do is they'll start campaigning to redraw the district lines, and then they'll redraw that line that didn't include Naperville to now include Naperville so that they can increase their population base, thereby increasing their voting base, thereby increasing their power structure and their political sway in the House of Representatives, the Senate, all of it. Well, California's doing basically just that. They're trying to gerrymander basically every single population center in California to be Democratic, to be Democrat. And it's not going well because the people of California, as we saw with the last election, are largely Mexican. And as the Mexicans stream across the fucking border, they're starting to understand that the Democrats are their enemy. That's why we saw a huge red wave in California that elected Trump, because all the fucking Mexicans that they thought were so fucking stupid, turned out they weren't all that fucking stupid. Turns out when you live a life of hard work and people fucking you all the time, you get some fucking smarts about you and you can see through some bullshit. Now, that's not to say all of them see through the bullshit, but a good fucking majority of them did, and that's why I truly believe the Mexicans that switched from Democrat to Republican are why Trump's in office now. You can argue whether that's a good or a bad thing, but it is, in fact, in every fucking way better than what the alternative would have been, regardless of how you feel, and you really can't deny that. So we've got all this stuff, these people trying to create these machines, this and that. Well, we've seen it so many fucking times in Illinois and California, Utah, where this gerrymandering, Texas, this gerrymandering will happen. And then 10 years from then, it ends up fucking the party that redid the fucking district lines, because those people have now shifted their thought patterns into the party into the other party. So we see this shit eating itself all the fucking time. Let's go back to the Chinese Revolution, the Cultural Revolution in 1966 to 1976. Mao Zedong launched a cultural revolution to purge counter-revolutionaries and rivals. He empowered the Red Guards, which were young zealots, to attack intellectuals and officials. The backfire came when the chaos spiraled out of control and Red Guards attacked party officials loyal to Mao as well, and the Communist Party itself was destabilized due to this. Mao eventually had to use the army to suppress the very movement he unleashed. If you're not familiar with Mao Zedong, you should definitely look into him. He is one of the world's most tyrannical murderers of all time and tyrannical rulers and murderers of all time. You should definitely look into that. Now, let's go back to the States. Let's come back to the States to something that everybody has heard of. You know, this little thing called prohibition. You ever hear of prohibition? That was back in the day, you know, in 1920, 1921 maybe. The government decided they were going to ban alcohol. They implemented the 18th Amendment. Oh yeah, in 1920, banning alcohol was pushed by temperance groups and many Republicans to quote unquote clean up society. I would have you understand that a drunk society is a very shitty society, and we largely live in a drunk society here in America. I'm looking at you, Wisconsin. You guys seem to wear being the drunkest state as a badge of honor. And it's really stomach-turningly disgusting. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves. Being a fucking total shithead is nothing to be bragging about, even if it's just being drunk all the fucking time, you useless do-nothing motherfuckers. That's, of course, not all of you. I know some functioning drunks in fucking Wisconsin, but even still, you shouldn't be a functioning drunk. You should be a functioning adult, and maybe leave the alcohol behind, as I've done. I'm not an anti-drinker. I'll have a fucking drink every now and then, but alcohol has never done anything good for anybody. So I just don't get into it. I prefer to keep my brain intact, my ability to speak intact, my ability to host silly fucking little shows like this intact. But after this happened, the backfire came because it created a massive black market, and it strengthened organized crime better than anything we'd ever seen before. And it also undermined respect for law. Public backlash grew so strong that prohibition was actually repealed in 1933, embarrassing its champions. So the right went out and said, you know what? We can't have alcohol because it makes our society shit, which I agree with. It does make society shit, but banning it is not the route to take. If you tell a kid no, what do they want to do? Exactly what you told them not to do. So the way to go about this, if you really want to clean up your fucking society, is you start having your fucking society learn how to have some fucking discipline, which American society has zero fucking of. I don't know an American that can fucking that practices discipline to the point where they find it easy to say no to their biggest vices. Smokers that have quit, i.e., myself. I cannot to this day. I smoke. I quit over a year ago, and before that, I quit for 2 years. 10 years before that, and then I had a cigarette one weekend and I kept smoking. So now I have to exercise the discipline to not have the cigarette that everybody offers me all the fucking time, because I know if I have one fucking cigarette, I'm now a smoker again, and I'm gonna keep buying them for the rest of my fucking life, and fuck you if you tell me no. So I have to exercise that discipline. But when we look out across American society, we don't see a lot of discipline. We see a lot of disgusting, unfuckable people with really shitty fucking opinions and really bad fucking habits with not a whole lot of future ahead of them. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. That's just what we see in America. We see a lot of fucking losers taking over America. So it's up to the people that have even a shred of dignity left in them to not be a loser. It's up to us to turn this motherfucker back around. But here's another one. The Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798. We're going all the way back. I mean, I want to drill this into you that this is not a new thing. This is something that happens over and over and over and over again. And you have to learn how to pick it out so that you can learn how to fucking get off of this fucking merry-go-round of bullshit. The Alien and Sedition Acts of 1798. What happened? Passed by the Federalist Party to muzzle Democratic Republican critics under John Adams. The backfire came when public outrage over these laws helped Thomas Jefferson and the Democratic Republicans sweep the 1800 election, crushing the Federalists. The Federalists were done. They did this. They enacted this to stop, which is really weird that the Democrats and Republicans, Democratic Republicans, you kind of feel like are you getting to where they were one party at one point? Well, it's kind of interesting that the Federalists implemented this bullshit to secure their position in the future. And what they did was actually eliminate their position faster than it ever would have been eliminated before. So guys, here's the overall scope of the message here. No matter what you do, no matter what you believe, no matter what you think, if you create a mechanism, if you create a machine based or rooted in treachery and evil, in resentment and vindictiveness, if you create this, it will fucking eat you too. There's nobody safe from these machines. There is no one safe from the fucking teeth of a machine that is created to eat people. I don't know if you notice this. We're people. And the thing that these mechanisms are always created to eat is people. So guys, think about that. The next time you want to dive headlong into creating something to fuck somebody else over, thinking that it's going to secure your position in the future, absolutely 100% know that it's probably going to have the exact opposite effect of what you believe it would or should have. It's going to crush your shit faster. It's going to remove you from the limelight faster. And it's going to put your enemies and your opposition on a fucking pedestal. The way we stop this is to talk. The way we stop this is to do what Charlie Kirk was fucking doing. Have the conversation. Have the chat that is icky, that is disgusting. Have the fucking conversation about all the shit that we're told as people that we're not supposed to talk about. Have the conversation revolving around all of this shit that if we did get figured out, would improve the planet. Race, religion, culture, ideologies, politics, all of it. Habits, right down to your own personal habits. Let's have the conversation. If we learn to have these conversations, each and every last one of us, the world is going to fucking change. Now, as with always, every fucking episode, we get really down into the sticky wicket of things. We get down into the shit, and we don't want to walk away from that. But before we get there, let me update. I remembered the update that I wanted to tell you in the beginning. So let me get to that now. I am now, because of all the changes in the show, I finally calmed this motherfucker down. I finally slowed this train down enough to start getting some fucking guests on here again. And I've got several really fucking mind-blowing, awesome ones lined up. But if you guys want to be a fucking guest on my show, first and foremost, I'm going to be honest with you. Be somebody. Have some conviction. Stand for something. If you email me in, it's savagelyloud@gmail.com, tell me you want to be on the show, and I check your social media, and it's all pictures of pancakes and kitties, and you're telling me that you stand for something, I'm just gonna pass right by that shit. However, if I go to your social media and I see a fucking standing tall presence or tall standing presence, I don't give a fuck how many followers you got. If I see you fucking standing tall, standing on business in your convictions, stepping up for what's right, speaking up for what's right on your page, I don't give a fuck if you got 10 followers. I'll at least have a conversation with you. We'll get a call together. We'll figure out what's going to go from there. But it's just easier if you're actually somebody that's doing something. It doesn't have to be standing up for the left or standing up for the right or standing up to politics. It could be entrepreneur shit. If you're a business owner and you clawed your way to the top, I want to talk to you. I've actually got another. I've got a one woman in mind that I'm going to end up eventually probably asking her. She's some sort of she births babies at people's houses, it seems like, and I don't understand it at all. But because I don't understand it, I want to talk about it. So everything. It doesn't matter what you do. If you got a really cool profession, let's talk about it. I'm a car guy. I've been building cars my whole fucking life. So we can definitely have a conversation if you're a car dude. But yeah, I'm going to be having some more and more guests come on here. I've got some lined up. We're getting them scheduled right now as we speak. Actually, my wife is up there trying to get a couple of them scheduled. So I'm not lying. But yeah, so we're gonna have some scheduled guests that are gonna blow your fucking socks off. And yeah, that being said, let's get to Hopelessly Human. Let's remind ourselves that there is still some really good people in this world with a segment called Hopeless Human. And it starts a little bit like,
people can be really rough. They can be quite tough. They can get in the way, but at the end of the day, some aren't only stupid, some are hopelessly human.
I just can't help but giggle at that shit. I love that shit. I love myself and what I do. So, I tickle myself pink. Let's get to it, guys. It's a very short one, but I really, really liked it. I took my prom date to an insanely expensive restaurant. The two of us were over $200. The place was gorgeous. We were out of place with all of the rich older people there, but it meant a lot to me that I could pay for all of that with my money that I earned from my first job. I even bought her prom dress because she couldn't afford it. Well, when I got the check, it only said $100. So I asked our waiter if they missed something, and he said that the couple saw us and paid for half of our meal before they left and said, "Have a great prom." The reason I find this so amazing, and the reason I find it so immensely tied to this episode, again, if you guys don't realize what I do with these hopeless humans, I try to tie them into what we talked about. The reason I find this to be so tied into the topic today is because this fucking guy, this young man, is a real man. This dude took pride in bringing his woman to a nice place. And not only that, he took pride in working his fucking dick off to be able to do that. He took pride in her and his abilities, so much so that he spent money to get her a dress that she felt beautiful in. This is how men operate. This young man is a fucking king amongst men. And that is the fucking show. Later. Oh, some video action here. I don't know where my video went, so you're going to get a little extra. Later, guys.